What is going on, everyone? Welcome to My Point Is, our first episode. My name is Rob Wilkins, and there's Cam Hawkins, aka Seahawk. Cam, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. This is something we've been planning for a while. You can't plan for everything. And so, starting this off on a somber note isn't always ideal, but it also does really give us the opportunity, to express condolences and to relive some really cool stuff. So, again, while not what we planned for, still kind of a beautiful thing that we get to participate in. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was, and I mean, this was a different opening than I showed you earlier, like in the week, and it was one of those things where it was extremely tough on a lot of people this week, obviously, and the fact that we lost two legends in wrestling and another person that a lot of people had childhood we grew up watching passed away yesterday. Bob Barker, who's also a WWE Hall of Famer. It's been a weird week, and the other thing too, which a lot of people I don't think what happened yesterday too. Another person that passed away was basically the voice of Harley Quinn.
Mhm.
A lot of us that love comic books, just it's been a weird week, an unfortunate week, but today is a good day because we have our first show, but we also have a show that's a little show that a t-shirt company put on uh, called All In at
Yeah.
Wembley. I guess about 80,000 or more will be there. So, it's going to be a good day, I think.
We're doing a little something. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
But, and you got people coming over, you said, so you're excited?
Yeah, man. I'm making waffles. So yeah, if you haven't had a protein waffle in a while, feel free to stop by. It's one of those things where, especially growing up, I thought the coolest thing you could do as an adult was have a fight party. We used to, my parents, when they were in their late 20s, early 30s, we're going to somebody's house to watch the Tyson fight, later the De La Hoya fight. When I became an adult, it was the Mayweather fights. And I've gotten like more and more of my friends who aren't necessarily tapped into wrestling, you pour enough liquor up, they'll come by. But I also have a pretty cool circle down here. My man Caden from Fightful, my young homie, my man Brian from the Torch, Travis from the Torch, and a couple of our friends who we met through wrestling. So it should be a good time for sure.
Very nice. But well, let's go ahead and get into it. AEW All In. We'll go ahead and just go over the show real quick. Some really big matches coming on. We'll just start from the top. AEW World Championship match. This one has, because it's also tied to another match with the 0 Hour. I guess we should talk about that first. The tag team match with Aussie Open taking on MJF and Adam Cole. On the All In pre-show that I did last night, I said Michael Cole probably twice, I think. So it is not Michael Cole. It is Adam Cole.
Yeah.
This is going to be very interesting to see because this match, we thought it was crazy that they were setting it up first off, like, you're going to have your main event guys wrestle twice. It's kind of ballsy. But I think there's a bigger plan behind it. So I'm hoping, at least, but this will set up the main event. Hopefully. What do you see happening in this?
So I agree that it's going to set up the main event in that whatever happens in that very first match, it's going to inform our thinking for the next 3-4 hours, because they're going to be wondering, what does this mean for the main event? Like, I don't expect them to win the tag titles, but I expect them not to win them on some type of miscommunication. And so that lead into some tension, like, for the main event. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be really interesting if everything goes really smooth, both matches. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we won the tag titles. Everybody got along great. And then they just both go full baby face, like balls to the wall in the main event. But no, I think it's going to be, what did he mean by that? Why did he do that? Does he know that was an accident? And us kind of waiting to see what the response is at the end of the night. I mean, of course, what we hope for, what we pray for, is that whatever happens in the first match, we get through it with no injury. Like that's what the biggest thing. Like there's always a risk in having more than one match, but there's a risk in wrestling in general. So I hope both teams have fun and that we get to the main event unscathed. Because of course that is the bigger story.
Yeah, exactly. That's the $1 million question right there. Is there something already planned for it? I hope so, because you got to hope there's a method behind the madness with this, because you doing the biggest wrestling show ever, and you don't want your main event in question here. But we go on from the tag match to the main event. Who do you think? Do you think MJF leaves London with that title in his hand?
I think he does. It's hard for me to picture to whom and when he's going to lose the title. You know, him being 27 years old. You know, we had a conversation in a piece that I wrote about who he thinks are going to be the guys who are his contemporaries in the next couple of years. We didn't get to put that in the final cut, but specifically, he named Starks, he named the Pillars, and he named Garcia. And so in my mind, like I think about him losing that eventually to somebody on his level, which is not to say Adam Cole is above him, but I think of Adam Cole, as great as he is, as still a generation before Max. And so I'm more like, okay, it's going to be like somebody who I think of more as a contemporary. So I think he retains, but I also think he retains as a pure babyface. Like I really, really do. Just because everybody expects a turn, I would be interested to see if nobody turns. Like I look at me fantasy booking. So I think Adam Cole is going to be about to do something nasty, but he pulls back and they end up with a clean finish. It's kind of how I see it. So we'll see, but yeah, man. And there's also, yes, thank you, Jake. One, for the donation, and two, like the specter of CM Punk is over the top of all of this, right? And so if there's somebody who's not a contemporary who beats him, I don't know who else it could be. Like Punk would be the guy for me. So yeah, man, I think he retains. I think he retains clean, genuinely.
Thank you, Jake, for the super chat. Do we end the show with Punk walking out to confront MJF? And that's a big question. So obviously I like watching the world burn when it comes to wrestling sometimes. I said last night on our pre-show that something that I could see happening is the Kingdom getting involved, but they don't get involved with Adam Cole. It's MJF is what I was thinking. Like he's the one behind it. That's kind of was my method, because I always go like, I just look like something. Where can we see this going? And I think the money's behind MJF being a face, in my opinion.
I think so.
That's the thing. But the vision that they have is the biggest question. I would prefer to Adam Cole being that heel where people just don't like him. There's money behind that too. So
and he's so good at it. Like
yes,
Adam Cole is a fantastic heel. And it's funny, like what you get from MJF, like as a babyface or as a heel, that's really his personality. Like you're getting Max when that camera's on. With Adam Cole, he's like the sweetest guy in the whole world in real life. But when he plays a heel, he plays it to the bone. And so, yeah, I think him being a heel, going forward, I'd be way more invested in that because of how good he is at it. So, absolutely,
yeah. It's gonna be crazy. I'm so excited for this match too. We move on to the other guy we were just talking about. For the Real World Championship, CM Punk and Samoa Joe. This is the rubber match, as they've been calling it. I want Samoa Joe, but that's not going to happen. CM Punk's going to roll out with that victory.
Yeah, keeping that belt on Punk is where the money is for the time being, right? It's crazy that 20 years removed, almost from them tearing it up originally. Like, I think they got the potential to have the match of the night. I really, really do. I think Punk is still really solid. When Punk avoids injury, he's still very, very good. And Joe is just fantastic. Joe continues to be fantastic. And this is not going to be craziest move I can do. They're trying to beat the hell out of each other.
Yep.
And so, here was your point. My point is, yeah, absolutely. I think that they really have the potential to do something special because that chemistry has never disappeared after all these years. But yeah, I definitely got Punk retaining the title that he has for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing too is if Punk wins and MJF wins, you can't let those two go into All In like this quick, or excuse me, All Out this quick and they got to build this up. I mean, I think if anything, if you want to do it somewhat quick, maybe Grand Slam, but I say they need to go on the mics. Let them do what they're known for.
There is a pay-per-view next week, isn't there, Rob?
Yeah. So,
there is a pay-per-view a week from today.
Man, that's ridiculous too.
Yeah. It's a little quick. And again, I think that the whole thing with All In, I really think that they looked at it like, hey, we get to do a really cool thing in England. It'll be like a kind of glorified house show. It'll be really cool. And then we'll come back. And that thing just started snowballing and snowballing. And listen, there are worse problems to have in the world, right?
Yes.
But I think they didn't know what it was going to be. When it got to the point where they saw what it was going to be, like, all right, we got to put everything behind this. And we'll take care of the next thing when it's time to take care of the next thing. So,
yeah, they went from 15,000, remember? That whole thing. But 80,000 tickets. Wow. And we know a ton of people that are being there. My co-host from Coexisting with Rob and Maggie. Maggie's going to her first wrestling show. She'll be there. I'm excited for her. Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful's there. Pretty much everybody from Wrestle Talk's there. We know a lot of people. And
Liam's broke ass ain't there. You broke high schooler, you. Ha ha. Okay. Kids don't have money. I laugh at them.
Yeah, well, he had a pretty good little heel turn this week, huh? Anyways, that's another show by itself. And I see a lot of people in chat talking football. My God, are we going to talk about football here in a few minutes? It's not NFL, it's not college, but
you want to talk football? Get ready. Oh boy,
man! FTR and the Young Bucks World Tag Team Championship. A couple weeks ago, I thought FTR had this in the bag. Not anymore. I don't. What do you think?
I've had private conversations. I'll just say this much: like, I'm probably not the person to talk to about guns. People know where I live. They've seen, my kitchen counter from a previous house. I ignoring all legalities, it's not a great look. That much I absolutely agree with. It's not a great look. And it's not a great look in a way that they haven't really experienced in the last 20 or 30 years in wrestling. It's a different thing. You know what I mean? I also thought that this was FTR's to win because I don't think that the Young Bucks gain anything from this. If you are a Young Bucks fan today, you already think that they're the best tag team in the world. So them beating FTR does not sway anything for you, right? Correct. I think FTR had everything to gain in this, just from an acceptance standpoint. But now, Cam Morant, chill out. But now I'm more like, yeah, because ramifications, this could all be nothing. It could turn into something. But if the Bucks are nothing else, they are safe from a standpoint. You know what I mean? I really do think that, as much as I was like FTR is going to win this, I'm way more on the side of the Bucks probably pull this out. If for no other reason than the continuity and the continuation might be a little bit easier going forward.
Yeah, I think the Young Bucks, it's one of those things this one's a toss-up. It really is for me. This one's it's gonna be a hell of a match. I think both teams have a lot they want to prove in this ring tonight, and it's that's one thing that's gonna go down. It's gonna be a hell of a match.
It's gonna be fun as hell. Like it's gonna be really fun. Like again, as somebody who is not like a Young Bucks connoisseur per se, I've never said that they weren't good at what they do. You know what I mean? And then you get them in there with guys like FTR, like the best bases in tag team wrestling. It's going to be fantastic. Like it really is going to be special.
Man, I love to give you hell about the Young Bucks, even though like it wasn't me that started all this.
Yeah,
it's just you and your Young Buck Diors, and
they're fine. They're fine. They're good. They're really good at what they do. But it should be really fun because if nothing else, like nobody would ever question their effort. You know what I mean? Like you can't question that. And so they're going to do all of the things that they are very, very good at with a team who complements them very well. Like styles make fights. These guys don't do the same thing, but they excel so much at what the both of them do. It's going to be really, really good for sure.
Got a super chat from our good friend Chris Mueller of Bleacher Report. He says, "Congrats on the debut, fellas. Rest in peace, Bray and Terry." Chris was on that pre-show last night with me doing select picks. So if you have Fightful Select, check that out. We had fun. Caden was on there as well. We have another one from Jared. Thank you, Jared, for the super chat. Cam, my dog, congrats on the new show.
Thanks so much, Jared. I remember when everybody thought Chris was black. I don't know why. We all thought, I think it's because he called himself doctor, and like maybe he's a real doctor, but like that's like an old like black person term, just calling people doctor because they're smart. So I was like, oh yeah, that's a black dude. Nope, white dude with long hair, but he's my man. So shout out to Chris. Thank you so much.
Great guy. Talk to him a lot. He's a Lord of the Rings connoisseur, big one. So you can get him going if you like Frodo. If anybody wants to know that. That's going to get him going. That is going to just get him going. So there you go. Yeah, this match, I can't wait. But, you know, something that came to mind when you were talking about this is MJF was on Busted Open with that round table or whatever they called it. And he said something that we've been saying, a lot of us in the know, like wrestlers root for each other, you know, like most of them, regardless of company, they want to see the others do well. The Young Bucks have talked about wanting to work with the New Day. They definitely want to work with the Usos, you know, stuff like that. They want to see these people do good. And that's the thing. Like, that's what we want. We want just to see great matches because one day we just hope we get to see some of our dream matches too. And it's just, thank you. It was a town hall. I knew they called it something, but I forgot. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I wish people would realize that it's when I don't like that that death has to bring a lot of wrestling fans together. I don't like that.
Yeah, we should be able to like exist in this space like without that being the case. Like, look, a lot of times the conversation goes to, you know, I could never support anything because I think Vince McMahon is the devil. It's like, you're welcome to that opinion. Like, I really hear that, but like, almost all of us work for a white guy we don't trust. Like, it's the nature of capitalism. You know what I mean? And so again, do what you want to do, but I'm not with the idea of evil empire because like especially like I can really internalize it. Like, if I don't like this company, what about all the people first off, but what about all the women and black and brown people who, because of how society exists, have to work under these people? I'm not supposed to support them because of the guy in charge. Like, everything I have in this apartment, a lot of times the guy in charge ain't a guy I'm down with, but I get down with the person who works at assembly line to make it happen. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, we should. Tribalism in wrestling is silly because the wrestlers aren't tribalistic. Just like you said, like in one of my first conversations with MJF, I was just curious about something. This is years ago. I was like, hey, so do y'all get together and watch the WWE pay-per-views? He was like, every single one. Like, me and the boys get together at either somebody's place or at the stadium or something, and we all get together and watch the shows because why wouldn't we? These are the people we came up with. These are our friends. These are who we talk to. Like, this should be one big flowing thing. It should not, like, we shouldn't exist on opposite sides of this. Absolutely.
Yeah, they that's the thing. They just do a really good job of not talking about it, which they really shouldn't, because I mean they could if they want. It's one of those things where I get why they don't talk about it, but they watch it. I mean,
he's blurred the lines. Like Max specifically has blurred the lines a lot more. Like and again, in the piece that I wrote, one thing didn't make the cut. He was like, I think the best two stories in wrestling right now are me and Adam Cole and the Bloodline. And he said it flat out. You know what I mean? You talk to Rick. Rick shouts out WWE talent that he grew up watching and how influential like The Undertaker was to her. Tony Storm speaks highly of her coworkers while she was in WWE. Like, yeah, it's just, they as time goes on, I think everybody's going to have more freedom because, and unfortunately, like to circle back around to it, they're losing people who they either were working with or do work with in real time. It's becoming less and less of a reason to pretend like it's not one big ecosystem. You know what I mean? So, hopefully, and again, Swerve's tweet about we shouldn't just come together when bad things happen. Hopefully, and thank you for that, Ace. Hopefully, we do get to a point where it's a bit more free flowing for sure.
Yeah. And it's what you said about Vince a few minutes ago. We could have a show just talking about the negativities behind Vince and the things he's done, but there's been, to go on the other side of this, there's things he's done that a lot of people don't know about, like when Harley Race needed to get surgery, like he had life-threatening surgery, and he had to get from, I believe it was Atlanta to St. Louis or vice versa. Vince, no question asked, just paid for it and got him there. Stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of bad out there that he's done, and there's a lot of good stuff that he's done. It's just one of those things where the bad definitely outweighs the other, but he doesn't get a pass either. You know what I mean? It's
definitely.
So we do have another super chat here. Okay, there you go. Frodo, sorry, little MFer. Shout out to Doc. There you go. Jake getting on the good side. All right, we move on to the next match here. Sheeta, Toni Storm, Saraya, Britt Baker for the AEW Women's World Championship. The only women's match on this card, which is disappointing to say the least, but it's better than none at all, is the way I look at it.
Absolutely.
I think Saraya's leaving this place with that title. What do you think?
It is the only chance that they will get to have a feel-good story with her. The way that she's presented, and specifically how knowledgeable the AEW fan base is, I do not know if she can sustain a babyface run. However, winning the title here after everything she came back from, I think you have a great shot at her getting a monster pop. You see Ace in there said Sheeta retains. Sheeta's great, and like it's right to have the title on her, I think. She's again, her in December against, come on, Rob, help me out. Not Tony, but
in December. And I just wrote about it.
I was
just
at
talked
that
about
show live.
Yeah, it was. She just talked about it.
Come on, Chad.
Yeah, tell us, because she just talked about it in an interview with us. God, I even just wrote about it. Let me see here.
I'm gonna feel so bad.
Yeah. It was at the Holiday Bash, I think.
Guys, who did Sheeta beat for? Not Sheeta. Who was? Come on. You're killing me, Chad. You know who we're talking about. The other lady from England put on a whole bunch of muscle. Jamie Hayter. Thank you. I don't know why it was escaping me.
Yeah,
Hayter
it was driving me nuts. I was like, wait.
They put on the best women's match I've ever seen in person back in December. It was stellar. Sheeta's really, really, really that good. Get everybody in the chat. Monet. It would be an amazing debut for her to come out. But I'm leaning towards what you're saying, Rob. I think it's the best chance to get Saraya over as a top star again. I think they pull the trigger for sure.
The other thing too is AEW needs that footage. They're still a young company. They need that footage that they can show forever. And when you have a Wembley crowd going nuts for just losing their mind for somebody that they absolutely love and adore in Paige or Saraya, what you get that footage, like it's there you go. You can play that in your promos for years and years. It's there. It's in a way, it's their night. This is their opportunity for their 1992 British Bulldog versus Bret Hart like moment.
Yeah, you get to maximize the talent of where you are, and sometimes you got to jump on that. Nothing wrong with a feel good story. Saraya wins, losing his mind, into a Karen and demanding a refund. Come on, oh man,
Jesus, that pops me. All right, we'll move on before we lose him. The Coffin match: Christian Cage and Swerve Strickland versus Darby Allin and Sting. Guys, if this match, yeah, I'm so happy to see Swerve Strickland in a big match like this.
Yeah,
he's one of my favorite wrestlers in the world. He just defines the, like, when you look at somebody like in the ring perspective, he just looks cool. Like, you just want to root for the guy. And then he has that smile where you're just like, yeah, I don't want to F with him either type thing, because it just looks like he has that menacing look to him, like that you would see in like an action movie, like The Bad Guy, or it's great. He
looks like he sells illegal guns. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah, that's perfect.
He
and Will Washington's his money man. So there you go.
Yeah. So basically, like, there's no new moves in wrestling, right?
Yeah.
But what you can do new is how you do them. He has a very unique style. And I said this, whatever gimmick they slap on Swerve, whether the gimmick is good or bad, he is good enough to pull through it. Like, he is so good in the ring. He carries himself so well. It's great to see him in a big time match. I just never see Sting losing. Like, if Sting's in a match, I'm like, Sting's got it. But this should be really, really fun. I've been a fan of Christian ever since. And once Captain Charisma came around, I was like, this is the guy. This is the guy. He knows, him still being healthy after all these years, him being the healthiest one out of the TLC guys is such a credit to him. Not only his luck, but his brain, so it's great to hold that thought.
Somebody at the door. He's got somebody at the door. So I'll keep talking. The one thing he said about Christian that I absolutely agree with is Christian did take care of himself, health wise. But the thing is what he did that helped him, in my opinion, was and I don't necessarily think it was his call because of the money, or maybe it was because I know he wanted to do more. He left for Impact or TNA. So, with him going to TNA back in the day, that helped him a lot. So,
yeah, WWE, like, the Intercontinental title was his ceiling for them, and he was killing it at the end of that run. But yeah, you go over to TNA, you get your world title. I think it solidified him. Came back in the fold, was, ECW champ, and then the stuff he did with Orton. One more match. He was great. And so, yeah, again, it's great to see him at the tail end of his career, but he is also one of those guys. I always said that Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy's superpowers were that they still look like Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy after all this time, and Christian still looks very much like he did when he first cut his hair. And I think that attributes to longevity really, really heavy. So yeah, I absolutely think that, him still doing it as well as, and listen, don't let him find out your daddy died. Don't let him find out your dad died.
Nope.
That's a real superpower.
Yeah,
that should be sunlight to him, like Superman. It's crazy. But yeah, and then again, Sting, Darby. This is going to be really, really fun. Sting, after all this time, man, still putting that body on the line. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it for sure. But I gotta say, I got Sting winning because I never see Sting losing.
Yeah. 0 hours on now.
But they're not starting the match for another 30 minutes, right?
Yeah. I hope not, because otherwise we gotta get this moving. Yeah. All right. Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi taking on Juice Robinson, Jay White, and Takeshita. I just laugh before any time I talk about Juice Robinson because he's just killing it.
That's the Honeycombs monster. He's great.
Yeah. Oh, damn.
That's who he is. He's the Honeycomb monster.
God, that man can make some money right now if he wanted to, because just like John Cena with Fruity Pebbles, there you go.
His energy is off the charts, man. He's so fun to watch.
I've said it like before. My favorite thing about this whole like Jay White standee that they have is they like the standee more than they like Jay White. That just kills me. Like they,
that's the guy.
It just, and I just love it. Like I love seeing how far that man's gone since CJ Parker, like just it's taken him a while, but I love seeing where he's come. He's gone.
And then Jay White, like when they decide that he needs to be international champion or TNT champion or world champion, like he's there. I was a slow adopter because I didn't watch a whole lot of New Japan, and like when I thought of Bullet Club, I knew Omega was that dude, Balor was that dude, Styles was that dude. So him coming in after that, I was like, who is this random guy? But no, I'm absolutely on the Jay White train. Amazing talent, incredible physique, can do everything in the ring. So like when it's time for him to be the guy, he's going to be there for sure.
Yeah. I think Kenny's team wins this one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Moving on, we got Chris Jericho and Will Ospreay. Last night at Rev Pro, Chris Jericho attacked Will Ospreay. There's no way in hell Will Ospreay's losing this match in Wembley.
Yeah, man. And the promo he cut, like, just like, yo, I can feed my son off of this match. Yeah. Like, yeah, man. It's his to win. I think that, Jericho, a lot like Christian, he is able to dial it back, but turn it up when he needs to and go in there. And like we saw him do Lionheart Jericho a couple of months back, so he's going to go out there and what he has left in the tank, we're going to see. Ospreay is going to go crazy. But yeah, like you said with Saraya, I feel even stronger about Ospreay. This is absolutely his match to win in front of his people. Biggest audience ever for sure. Yeah.
I'm just going to share this like quick story here. Last night, I have a buddy that watches wrestling, but he doesn't watch all the time. He sends me a text last night. And he goes, "What's this gang bang gang?" It's like, first off, timeout.
Gang,
gang. No, this is a completely different thing. I don't know what you're watching, but yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to get that out there because I thought that was hilarious. Yeah, we move on to the Stadium Stampede match. Blackpool Combat Club with the returning Santana and Ortiz, Proud and Powerful, taking on Orange Cassidy, Eddie Kingston, Penta, and the Best Friends. I think Blackpool Combat Club gets this victory, especially with Santana and Ortiz returning. They need this win. But real quick, get your opinions on this.
Agreed. Continues to build up not only the dominance of that stable, but you got a returning tag team that like never really hit the proper stride since they've been in AEW, I think. They were always like not really in the title picture or diverted off to do something else. So yeah, I think that specifically they're going to come out looking really good. And I don't think they stay with like the Blackpool Combat Club. Like it's, we're doing a favor. I think Eddie Kingston, wrestles his heart out like he always does. And there's something crazy with him at the end. But yeah, I agree. I think that the Blackpool Combat Club wins this. We're getting closer and closer to Brian coming back, so they need to be strong going into that for sure.
Yeah, and I think it was either Caden. I think it was Caden last night says that he thinks that Blackpool Combat Club gets this win, and what this helps do is set up Claudio versus Eddie Kingston at Grand Slam.
Yeah.
So
because Grand Slam's going to be in New York. Yeah, for sure.
So,
for sure.
There we go. I like that. And I mean, hey, the one thing is, if anything, it shows that somebody that goes to the University of Florida is smart. So at least one person. That's not bad. I'll give him that.
He said, man, I'm watching everybody go to the square or wherever. They're all walking past me, and I'm just here in the room. I was like, take your ass outside. He said, no, I got to do such and such. I got to watch. He said, I'm going to watch wrestling all night. I said, man, if you don't go outside and go hang with your peers and come back to wrestling, it's okay to hang out with your friends, guys. But yeah, shout out to
I like taking shots at Caden because he's a Florida Gator, and I'm a Florida State guy. So
okay. Shout out to Florida State. My sister went to FAMU, so shout out to Florida State.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
My mom used to teach her.
There we go.
So we move on to the Trios Championship. Now, before we get started, there's been talk that AEW did pick up some WWE music not too long ago. I'm wondering if I'm hoping that Ass Man is one of those songs. That's just me. Yeah.
Yo, that's the most like, how did they get away with that back in the day? Like, if you listen to the lyrics of that song, it's one of the craziest wrestling songs ever created.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get a Max Caster rap in front of the English, and so it's gonna be a bunch of references I absolutely hate. Oh my god. But I'll tell you what, I think I got them winning, man. I got them winning. There are interesting things for the House of Black to do outside of the title. There are interesting things for them to do individually or the team outside of the title. I think it was premature to take the titles off of the Acclaimed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think them running around with the trios titles would be fun for a while. Brian agrees. Brian agrees. Yeah, but I think so for sure.
Yeah. That's the thing. We'll have to see. It's gonna be a good match. So I think the crowd's gonna be. I'm waiting for Scissor Me Daddy. The crowd doing that. That's gonna be good.
You waiting for that? That's what you're waiting for?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, that taken out of context, that sounds really bad. That'll be clipped, so that's good. Anyways, last match, FTW Championship, Jack Perry versus Hook. I think Hook gets this win, and what I said last night is I think he retires the title. I think he hands it over to his pops.
That'd be a sweet moment. Because again, our list of FTW champions, which you got Taz, Sabu, Brian Cage, Starks, Hook, Jungle Boy. So it's like 5-6 people in total. Like it served its purpose. And that would be cool for him to win it back, give it to his pops. And because I do think it helped the guys involved. But yeah, and then like Rob Van Dam is a unicorn in that he can still be Rob Van Dam some type of way after all this time, even if it's a B Rob Van Dam and not an A, right?
Yeah.
There are no other ECW originals who can still do things. And it's not a knock to them. It was just 92 years ago, right? So, like, we can't do the Jungle Boy legend killer thing because they can't go like that no more.
Yeah.
So I said Cage. Yeah, Cage was for sure. But yeah, I think that I like your idea. I would love for him to win that, retire it, be done with it, and let's go about our business for sure.
Yeah, that's the way to go there. All right, so before we move on a little bit, I just want to get your quick thoughts. What are like some of your favorite Bray Wyatt moments? What are some of those? Because I have a lot, but mine was seeing one of the best matches that he was in WWE. It was the 6-man tag match at Elimination Chamber. I was there for it in Target Center.
Oh, okay.
It was unbelievable, and that was when I knew. That's when I knew that the Wyatt family, like on WWE roster, they were going to be fine. Like that's when I knew they were going to be fine. Because in NXT they were great, but like it took me a while with WWE roster. I was like, I don't know if people are going to just get it. But after watching that and just the way they were in that feud, I was like, yep, they're going to be fine. This is good. This is what is such good shit, pal. and the match was great. The crowd was into it, but just all the other stuff, the we're here, the run, stuff like that, and just his thing that I'll miss the most is the off cameras, or not necessarily off camera stuff, but like just the candid photos where you just see like that big smile.
Yeah,
that's going to be missed big time. And last night I don't know if you saw it, but the Seth Rollins video, that was tough, man. But yeah, I wanted to get your thoughts on Mr. Rotunda.
Yeah, and so man, I was all in on dude when he was Husky Harris, man. The tank with the Ferrari engine, baby. I always had a soft spot for like football guys or guys football sized who could really go in there and move. You know what I mean? Loved him then. Really, the cinematic match with John Cena, the Firefly Funhouse match.
Oh yeah, that too.
Is one of the best wrestling matches I've ever seen. Because wrestling does not just have to be strictly on the mat, count to three. It was this perfect idea of two great characters, and it took you down the road of what if John Cena stuck with this, or what if John Cena went this way. I thought it was genius. The production on it was so smart. It's you got a lot of people call themselves creatives.
Mm-hmm.
He was one, like genuinely meticulous about how he was presented, what he said, and what he did. It did not always work in a WWE structure, but when it worked, it worked itself incredibly. I saw him live WrestleMania 30 against John Cena. I was at the press conference at the Royal Rumble, and you could see the satisfaction, and really there was a feeling of clarity, it seemed to be, with what was presented and what he did. I remember, we're in the press box watching the match, and a lot of people are turned off by the match. And this isn't like a knock on them, but what I noticed was right in front of the press box were regular seats. So you could still hear the people outside of the box. And there were two kids in front of us, and they were so into everything. And they were like, is Uncle Howdy okay? And I was just like, it hit for me. I said, look, this ain't always about us and the people who write and the people who make the video content. A lot of times this is about the people who are taking their kids for excitement and wonder. And those kids were so into it. And I was like, it works. It doesn't matter what any of us say. It works. What he is creating, what he presents, like the Fiend mask for selling out. People were buying the Fiend championship belts. Like, yeah, man, he was a force of nature, and he was absolutely appreciated while he was here. And I don't like the idea that people try to make that seem artificial, because no, you saw it and you heard it every single week. So shout out to the man. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's he'll be sorely missed. And it sucks. As far as like real quick, we only got a few more minutes. Terry Funk, I talked about this on my show the other day. He had a huge part in my life because I was a big tape trader back in the late 90s, and his matches were almost always like something that people wanted, like IWA 95, just stuff like that. His matches, just, he was somebody that people just wanted to see, because he was the guy that you didn't get to see many of his Japan matches. So they were really popular, like for us tape traders. And so he played a big part in like my life younger. And I know a lot of people know him as Chainsaw Charlie, which at that time I just felt like, man, at that time I was young and naive, because I was like, is this man just doing this for a paycheck? Of course he's doing it for a paycheck, but also, I mean, he's in the ring, he's doing what he loves, you know? So, but yeah, I just wanted to get your quick thoughts on that, and then we'll move on and talk about football.
Yeah, shout out to Amarillo, Texas, baby.
Amarillo,
So it's funny you mentioned that. My introduction to him was as Chainsaw Charlie, and so I'm not like super invested. I'm like, this dude is crazy. What's going on? And then I hear the name Terry Funk, but then when they were doing the ECW DVD, that was like The second time I got talking about Terry Funk, I'm like, no, Terry Funk is a wrestling legend who was good enough to come in here and make us look great. I was like, oh, okay, dope. And so that's when I start to get more into him kind of in the 80s and early 90s. So when I'm writing this piece about Great American Bash, I went back and watched him versus Flair in 89. Boy, that's a knockdown, drag out fight. It is amazing. So yeah, learning about Terry Funk kind of in reverse for me was really cool because all-time legend, again, West Texas dude. So I automatically got love for him in my heart. An absolute wrestling legend. He gave back so much to so many people. And that's all we can hope for from our legends. Just an incredible life, incredible person. Lived one of the fullest lives you'll ever get to see. And of course, cameoed in my second favorite movie of all time, Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Love it. Yep. So yeah, man, rest in peace to Terry Funk, man. It gone too soon is tough for me when somebody's lived a full life.
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt, absolutely gone too soon. And I don't even have to inform that. There's career things, there's family things more important than anything else that, we certainly pray for his family, his children, his wife. Terry Funk, man, what a life to live as long as he did, as tough as he did for as much beauty as he produced. What a life. Rest in peace to Terry Funk.
Yep, exactly. Well, let's talk about BS High or IBS, whatever it was, on HBO Max, or Max rather. Guys, if you have not seen this show, it's a documentary, hour and a half, maybe hour and 45 minutes, something like that.
It's an hour and 37 minutes. Those things are locked into my head.
It's about Bishop Sycamore High School. This is the school that played IMG a few years ago. IMG is like a powerhouse school. That's where like your college football players that are just studs, they go to this high school to get better. And these players go to the Alabamas, just every big school these guys go to, and they played this school that does not exist in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, I think, right? Or where they were based out of. And my God, and Cam will tell you better, but there is a psychopath behind this team. Jesus. But yeah, I'm glad you told me to, I was going to watch it anyways, but when you said, let's talk about this, I'm like, okay, that's a good idea. I'll watch it. And I watched it last night, and my God, I was mad as hell watching it.
So everything's wrestling, right? You and I talked about this before we got on air. So when I wrote a piece for The Ringer about Danielson, when he was going into the match with MJF, Danielson is a little different than most talents in that he has his own manager. His manager, him and Saraya have the same manager. His name is Meech Golden. And Meech is one of the producers on this BS High documentary. So if you guys actually watch it, or if you've seen it, when Roy Johnson, the coach, gets upset and goes off camera, there's a guy in a white t-shirt that he's talking to try to bring him back into the room. That's Meech Golden. That's Bryan Danielson's manager. Okay. Now, something I haven't told people, when I found out Meech was doing the doc, he was like, yo, you want to interview the coach? I said, of course I want to interview the coach. It sounds great. Why wouldn't I want to do that? I watched the documentary. There's absolutely no way. And Renee and Ruby, absolutely. Thank you. There's absolutely no way I could see myself having a long form conversation with Coach Roy Johnson.
Oh my God.
Guys, so a gentleman came into money because his mother had some money through her ties with the church, and he basically parlayed this into creating a football program disguised as a school. All right, there were not classrooms, there were not facilities, there was not adequate food. I'm not sure how they were able to secure uniforms, but it's a lot of cloak and dagger, a lot of smoke and mirrors, and a lot of empty promises made to these kids. Basically, Scooby-Doo, I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you kids. Maybe they could have pushed this thing on a bit longer if they didn't shoot all the way for the stars.
Yep.
Somehow he convinced IMG Academy, this billion-dollar football factory disguised as a school. Now, they actually have classes and tutors and accreditation, all right?
Yeah.
But they are a football factory, right?
Yeah.
So he basically talks his way into facing them on ESPN.
Yeah.
And guys, you've seen Pros versus Joes. You exist on Twitter. And so there's this idea that if you position yourself correctly and you're lucky enough that you too can compete with top level athletes. No, you can't. No, you can't. You can't do it. Like the same way people say like Alabama could beat the 2010 Cleveland Browns. No, they couldn't.
No,
they would get demolished. There is such a gap between top level college talent and third string pro talent. Think about the gap between elite level high schooler and guy who's in high school. It is the worst beatdown you have ever seen. You can only find it on YouTube now because ESPN scrubbed it from everything.
Yeah.
And it's so bad. The announcers begin to talk about how bad they are and how we don't know who these kids are.
Yeah.
They don't have trainers, nothing. So to bring it all home, that's the football aspect of it. Guys, this coach was not only convincing like kids from broken backgrounds and single parent homes with no money to come play for him. He had them signing leases. He had them taking out PPP loans. Like it was nasty, and it's still hurting these kids. And because there's literally no law against creating a fake school because they never thought anybody would do it. Yeah. Like he's basically scot-free and kind of famous and is probably going to get another bag.
Yep.
Please go watch this and be upset with myself and Rob.
Yeah. I was literally like yelling at my TV because I had to pause at one point because I'm like just losing my mind. There was just to give you guys a little sample. I'm not going to spoil like anything, I guess technically a spoiler. He has over 30 lawsuits, and his exact quotes was, I might not have had the money. I didn't care. Maybe it was lazy, arrogance. There's a lot of things that go into it. That was it. Like he also, these players, like they showed the food that these guys were eating. They got to the point where they were stealing from Walmart because they just had to eat. That's awful that they were doing that first off.
They were stealing to survive.
Yeah.
Like they literally had no food.
And then two other things I want to say real quick, or three things. One is this man would call. So this is one thing he would do. He would call a grocery store in the morning and order 25 rotisserie chickens and then not go pick them up until the evening because he knew that they would lower the prices down to like $2, which grocery stores do that so they don't have, so they can at least make something instead of throwing it all out. Not all of them do, but he did that because like stuff like that. That's just mind-boggling. Now
the geese, Rob, the geese.
That was the next thing. So the man has a player in his car, or maybe more than one. He said he wants to teach these guys lessons that you have to go out and I can't remember exactly what he said, but you have to just go take life by. You just have to go do things sometimes. You have to take control. And he sees these geese and he speeds up and he hits these geese. But the thing is after he hits them, he backs up and runs over him again. Yeah. That first off, that alone tells me he's an awful human being. Now, the other thing, the last thing, is they showed his attorney, right? That's his attorney. Do you know who he's related to?
Who is he related to? Yo!
I knew that popped. I was like, I looked at him. I'm like, oh my God. It's like this guy looks like, put that back. We have Chris Hero at home. That's who that looks like. And then you got his cousin, Tommaso Ciampa. But that's what it reminded me of. But the last two things real quick. John Cena comes back next week. I think it was announced last night. He's going to be teaming with Seth Rollins, taking on Indushir. I believe that's the match that they're having in India. So that'll be interesting to see.
I mean, look, man. Writer's strike.
Yeah.
You know exactly. What I mean? Like, there is a lot more free time. You know, and they're not expecting John Cena from the US title days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're expecting John Cena. Exactly. And so I think it's going to work. I mean, great for them. I'm sure they're going to make a big bag. It's another chance for him to add something to the resume. Good for Seth and good for Indishir. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
And then the last thing, and granted, I know you have a lot more people that you know, but is Edge, in your opinion, do you see him sticking with WWE, not necessarily wrestling, or do you see him going to AEW?
I think I see him going to AEW because I think there are more things he wants to do creatively. Like stuff like Judgment Day doesn't come out of thin air. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I can see him going over there, but I think that WWE's been really good to him. I think their conversations are good. Their communication is good. And so I don't think they'll look at it as a bad thing. I think they Cam knows nobody, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think they've done right by him. He's done right by them. And so, yeah, I could definitely see him going over there. But, you know, Edge is already in the WWE Hall of Fame, right? What else is there to do?
Yeah,
you know? So, yeah.
I think there's a little bit like a factor of him, like it's hard to say. And he's so good at selling, so he might have already made up his damn mind. We know that. I think he already has. But anyways, Dima Diva, say hello to or rub Roman's belly for me. And I'm talking about the dog. I know you would do the other Roman Reigns too, though. But anyways, guys, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to get going so you guys can watch All In 0 Hour. Cam, tell everybody where they can find you, find your work.
Absolutely. Instagram, Twitter, Seahawk. You see it on the screen there, CEEHAWK. You can find the majority of my writing at The Ringer, theringer.com. Most recently, talked to MJF about going into today, about going into All In, and his ultimate goal of being the greatest AEW champion of all time. Bunch of articles there from WWE, AEW. You can also find my writing on Fightful, most recently talking about some of the trajectories of people who have competed for titles at the Great American Bash.
Awesome. Yeah, I love your writing too. So
my man,
good stuff. The Ringer. I'm a Bill Simmons guy from back in the day, so you know that's how it goes for me. So, but guys, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in. This is our first episode of mini. We had a blast today. You can find me at Rob Wilkins on Twitter. I'm also on Threads and Instagram at Fightful Rob. Follow us on Twitter at Fightful. Otherwise, Fightful Online, everywhere else. But I want to say thank you again for tuning in. This means a lot to me. This is something I've wanted to do, and being able to work with you, Cam, is just really cool for me too.
I'm glad we made it happen. Absolutely.
Yeah. Guys, I want you to enjoy All In. Have a great time. We will see you very soon. Peace out. Have a great day. Have a good rest of your weekend, and peace. We'll see you later.